Breakups have always been brutal. There's no arguing that fact. But over the last few years, they're happening in a very different world, one that's shaped more by social media, polarized politics, and shifting world perspectives. For some, this month especially can be a ticking time bomb if your relationship is already on the rocks. The holidays and end of year can bring up questions like, whose family are we visiting? What do we want to accomplish next year? And maybe, where is this relationship really going? If the answer to this last question leads to a serious conversation and decision, the fallout can feel overwhelming. The full gamut of emotions that pour out may feel like a never-ending waterfall of pain.
The grief we experience from breakup initially most often arises because we have positive memories of the relationship. People grieve because they remember when things were different and enjoyable, and it's the positive memories that haunt us.
That's Mary Lamia, a clinical psychologist who's well-versed in helping people through relationship troubles, breakups, and divorces.
But initially, there is this sense of unreality, just like it is with loss from death, where the breakup seems hard to accept. And it's not because people want to deny the loss. It's just because the human brain needs time to reconcile clashing information. There's our memory and our current circumstances, and they're very different. Memory tells us the person's in our life, but presently we know they're gone. And it's hard to put that together in our mind. I mean, people go to sleep and they wake up and they think they're in a relationship still, and then they remember, oh, we broke up, and the heartache comes.
Along with sadness, anger, frustration, there can also be this not-so-expected feeling of shame that bubbles up. Lamia gives this example.
If you're sitting with a love interest at a restaurant and telling them a story that you think is sort of interesting, but they show a little bit of disinterest by looking at their watch or looking at their phone, we get this pang of shame. It's a signal. Something has ruptured. We have a disconnection. Maybe the partner really is paying attention, but in our mind, they aren't. So it hurts.
She says that this is the same feeling that people get after a relationship dissolves. It's a mix of pervasive sadness and shame surrounding the hard situation.
One thing about this kind of shame is that it also creates a seeking urge. So we think about ways to repair or restore the relationship. I always ask, why do people have the impulse to contact an ex-partner, even though they know it's not in their best interest to do so, or they stalk the partner on social media after a breakup? Why would people do this? Well, we do have that seeking urge to repair the relationship, to get rid of our shame. And so we look for them, and we look for signs. Do they still like us? Do they still care? Are they with somebody else? And that's just what shame makes us do.
And these days, many breakups aren't just internal experiences anymore. Many play out publicly through social media posts, algorithms, group chats, and sometimes total strangers weighing in. Lamia says one of the biggest shifts she sees as a clinician is how quickly people look outward for some kind of validation or explanation to feel comfort. In the age of TikTok therapy and Instagram live chats, she says these two labels show up fast.
There's two diagnoses they use, borderline and narcissism. It's interesting because we are associating those illnesses with selfishness. And when we're hurt, we want to feel better. So we blame the other.
Labeling an ex can feel good for a while, but it doesn't settle what's really happening within us. And this time of year, when memories and expectations collide, these unresolved feelings can get harder to ignore. Sometimes there's no easy way through difficult emotions, but to process them fully.
What we have to learn to do is sit with it and know that it's going to pass. We don't have to do anything about it. We don't have to make it go away, or we don't have to decide that that person is a bad person who gave us the good memory. We just have to sit with it. And it's hard to sit with something so uncomfortable that creates grief.
It's not a quick process, but giving those feelings room to settle is what can bring clarity. And for listeners who aren't breaking up but maybe questioning their relationship's future, Lamia says there's no straightforward equation that can say for certain. However, she does highlight one signal she sees over and over again.
One standard sign of wanting to end a relationship is when your interest is failing. Without having interest, and interest is a very primary emotion, it keeps us focused. And so if you are disinterested in somebody and what they say or what they do, your love has waned.
It's nothing new that even the strongest relationships and marriages can fall apart. Sometimes what pushes a relationship in a new direction is a shift in one partner's fundamental beliefs, life goals, or worldview.
One of the things I've noticed in the past number of years is just how much political beliefs are reflected in a relationship and how they can divide people. And teaching couples how to navigate through different political beliefs they each have is tricky.
Lamia says that it's not always about agreeing or disagreeing. It matters more if a partner is willing to listen and come to the table with respect, understanding, and curiosity about where their partner is coming from.
It's all about interest. Can we have an interest in why they believe what they do? I don't ever see these couples saying to each other, well, how do you think you ever got to this place where you believe this ideology? How did you get it? What were your parents like? Or was there something that happened to you? Or is there something in your life, or were there many things in your life where this just fit better than having the other political position? People tend to get very passionate and protect what they believe rather than have an interest in the other's belief. And that's all it would take, is just having some interest.
Whether you're dealing with a breakup, going through a rough patch with your partner, or are perfectly happy in your relationship, or lack thereof, Lamia says that conflict and grief are part of life. Understanding these challenges instead of avoiding them ultimately shapes who we are as we move forward.
I've seen couples who are on the brink of divorce based on presidential election. And it was amazing once they were able to show this interest in why the other person believed what they do, how they just calmed down. It was okay. They didn't like it necessarily, but it was okay.
To learn more about this topic and our guest, Mary Lamia, head to viewpointsradio.org. This story was written by our executive producer, Amira Zaveri. Our studio manager is Jason Dickey. I'm Marty Peterson.